Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Encore. My name is Pastor Ernesto from Flint City Church.
And I'm Wes from the Rock Church.
And together, we are Wild
here
Stallions.
For the Encore.
No, together, we have this show, the Encore. We come to, every other week, and we talk about the questions that people are asking.
People email. Yeah,
People
all
email.
these are, lately, we're not even, we're only answering email questions by now, right?
We're so, there's a queue of questions.
It's great.
It's great.
It's great.
But before we get into our question for the day, we often do a silly thing that...
I thought of a new one. And I have a challenge for you here this morning.
Man.
I want to do a biblical word spelling bee. Let's go. I got one for you. Are you ready?
Do you get one too?
Yeah, we can go back and forth.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. So let's do like kind of a warm... Don't come with like, right away. The knockout blow. There's going to be one.
Okay.
I would think. Do it with us at home. Don't look it up. This is someone's name. Comes from the book of Ruth.
Of course it does.
And his name is Elimelech, Naomi's husband.
Elimelech.
Then Elimelech.
I know
Naomi's
Elimelech.
husband died, and she was left with her two sons.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
Elimelech. Use it in a sentence, please. No, I'm just kidding.
Then Elimelech, Naomi's husband died.
Country of origin.
Moab.
No, he's Jewish. He's a foreigner in Moab. Come on. Okay,
sure.
Elimelech. Here we go. Elimelech. There's only one turn. It's hard. Hold up.
You're right.
E-L. I wish I had a pencil. Go ahead. E-L. E-L-I. E-L-I-M. I-L-E-C-H. E-C-H. E-C-H.
Can I get your final spelling, please?
You're so stupid.
There were two answers given.
No, okay. E-L-I-M. Elim. E-L-I-M. I-L-E-C-H.
The correct spelling from Ruth chapter 1 and verse 3 is E-L-I-M-E-L-E-C-H.
There's two E's.
Elimelech. Naomi's husband. It's not easy.
One vowel off, dude.
You were. Go ahead. I'm a nervous wreck.
Why?
They're hard words we never say, and we feel like we're under some obligation to get them all right. You haven't looked it up yet? The show's only so long.
Listen, I know where it's at. I just gotta get there. Elimelech. You said we're starting off easy.
I had more faith than you. I give more respect to your spelling ability
if
than
I could have written it down, I would have had it. But I'm doing this.
You can't write it down. You got to stand at the podium and spell it
and then
out of your mind.
Sit down, sad.
Sit down.
Because you're dumb.
Defeated.
And everyone knows you're not smart.
Everybody knows. Couldn't do it.
I thought there was more to him than that. You've been weighed. You've been measured.
You've been found wanting. Go.
Okay. This one you should get because I saw you do an epic 12-week series on this very character.
Oh, brother.
The king of Babylon himself, Nebuchadnezzar.
Okay. Oh, wow.
It's doable.
I know it's doable. Will it be done? Nebuchadnezzar. The spelling is Nebuchadnezzar.
That is correct.
Yes! When you finally deliver it, you're like, it's wrong. I know it's wrong. Okay.
Oh. That was inspiring, Pastor West.
Thank you for saying so. But as you said,
you were in Daniel
I've seen that name a lot,
and he's your guy.
He's
one of your guys. He's not David, but he's someone you're.
I can spell David.
I mean, David is your guy. David's your guy you preach on the most, but Daniel's a close second.
Okay,
a far second.
All right, listen. Here's the
You're so stupid, dude.
You went to navigate. Here we go. I'm just going to read the sentence. You'll know what the word is. It came about in the month Nisan, in the 20th year of King Artaxerxes. Artaxerxes.
What's tough is different translations with a different name in that spot. But we'll do the NASB version.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Artaxerxes. 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 There's only one vowel I'm worried about. That dead shot in the middle, right there.
Mm-hmm. It's.
Okay, hold up.
I can't comment.
Okay. Artaxerxes. Dude, he comes up later in Daniel too. Dang it. I read it and I don't think about the spelling. I just read the.
Listen,
I'm gonna. Don't give me nothing.
All right.
Okay. Artaxerxes. Okay, my first instinct is A-R-T-E-X. Xerxes. E-R-X-E-S.
The correct spelling is A-R-T-A-X-E-R-X-E-S.
The one vowel in both names.
You called it out. You psyched yourself out.
I'm like, I don't know
this one wrong.
I don't know which vowel is in the middle. Of
Artaxerxes, and the rest of it's right.
I did the E in the middle instead of the A in the middle.
We can do one more if you want.
Listen, I'll be 0-2, and I'll give you one more so you can be either 2-0 or 1-1.
Oh, man. My heart's pounding.
Okay, hold up. Let's see here. First of all, the fact we're Bible nerds, we know where to go to find these things. It's unreal, dude. Here he is. Nope, it's right there. It's before that. This is not my Bible, so it's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not.
I know what you mean. You can't find it. Yeah, I get it.
Nope, it's before that. It's when they're, yes, there you are. Okay, where are you? Yup. Hold on.
We're all holding.
You're so stupid, dude. I gotta find this. He should be right here. Maybe he's when he get arrested again. Hold up.
Maybe you could just give me the name and find it while I think about it.
It's Gamaliel.
Paul's teacher.
Yes.
I was raised in the school of Gamaliel.
Yes.
Oh, Pete's sake. Is it L or all? Okay, I got it. Did you find it?
No, I'm going to look it up right online because I can't find it.
Let me see if I can pull it. Hold. Acts 9. It's because it's his testimony. I can't look it up because then I'll see it. Is it 9?
Hold on, I'm looking. I don't think so, brother.
22. Acts 22. He does it 3 times. It's a long time. A lot of dead air on this episode.
I'm telling you.
Acts 22.
Yeah, here's this. He does that. I don't see the name. Just I've looked up online, dude. Go ahead.
Up.
Spell it.
I believe.
I believe too, brother.
Gamaliel. Gameliel.
The correct spelling is Gamaliel.
What did I say? I said, is it all or is it L?
Listen, the vowels are hard because, listen, we're speaking a different language.
Doggone it. Where is it?
Yeah, I don't even know. Okay, where is he at the Bible? He's
I say it's
Acts 22:3.
I just said Acts 22.
It's right there in 22. Yeah, there it is. 22:3.
Let me make sure mine spells it the same.
It's spelled with an A.
Gama. Doggone it.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Okay, So the question we've been
Stinking
asked.
fouls.
Listen, you're 1-1. I gotta go home 0-2.
That's
Listen,
right.
You're the Lions. I'm the Patriots. This is not. This is like me and Bill Belichick are gonna go to the bar and cry because we're terrible. Because with Mac Jones, hey Mac, how you doing? You too, huh? I got Jared Goff over here looking like Ryan Gosling.
Come on.
Loving life. Got a good coach. I mean, anyway, sorry. That's a football metaphor.
We've done 10 minutes of a spelling bee.
Okay. The question we got was quite interesting. The question was, the Bible tells us, it encourages us not to worry. And in James chapter 4, verse 13, this Bible's so janky. James 4:13, but it's great. Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to such and such a city, spend a year there, and engage in business and make a profit. You do not know what your life will be like tomorrow. You are just a vapor that appears for a little while, then vanishes away. Instead, you have to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and also do this or that. Mm-hmm. This idea of you don't know what tomorrow is. So the question is planning for tomorrow, planning for retirement, making a plan for the next 5 years, is planning for tomorrow a lack of faith? That's the question we've been given, is making a plan and making this business I'm starting this first year, the 3-year plan, the 5-year plan, retirement, is that a lack of faith to put that money aside to save it? Is it a lack of faith to say, man, I don't know how this is going to go. I better hold some money back just in case this venture I'm involved in doesn't do well? How does planning for the future relate to faith in God's provision? That's the question we've been asked today.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's going to depend on a lot of things. For example, if it is planning. So fundamentally, no. I would say no, because otherwise we have some big problems with some biblical examples. Joseph
agree.
comes to my mind.
The fat cows and skinny cows.
The fat cows and skinny cows, and the 1/5 of the storage of the grain, and
they prepare for a rainy day,
right? And
that's wisdom.
That was the wisdom of God,
yes,
given to him, and so he prepares based on the wisdom of God given to him. So preparation, fundamentally, minus all emotions and motives. No, it's not bad.
In Proverbs 13:22, we have. I remember when I first read this, and I'm like, that it shocked me, because I kind of had that same thought, like that preparation. I felt a tension in myself.
Sure.
And I don't know where that. I think it came more from the outside than it came from the scriptures. But Proverbs 13:22 does say, "A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children."
Yeah,
that's preparation. Crazy style.
Right.
You're prepping not just for your kids. You're prepping for your grandkids, and to leave something for them to have a help upon their life.
Right.
So if preparation is like a faith, there is a biblical trouble, because there seems to be an allowance of preparation in a verse like that in the story of Joseph. And in the story of the Proverbs and the Psalms, the fool is often the one who's not prepared.
Yeah. What does he say in Proverbs, since you mentioned it? Consider the ant. And he's talking to the sluggard who will not prepare or do anything. He's like, look at the ant in preparation to when it's not even the season or something. The ant
preparing
stores
for the
away.
winter. He's pulling things away.
And his point is, this is the better example than you who are a sluggard and don't do that. So that I think that the ant was played to the positive.
Big time.
Yeah.
The ant is played to the positive.
So I think, yes.
So preparation they're not either ors. It's not dichotomistic. It's not like
if you're preparing, if you have retirement, if you have something stored away for possible crisis, that you have a lack of faith. That's not on the surface a true statement.
And we would even say that biblically speaking, preparation is a sign of wisdom.
Yeah.
Preparing for the future,
yes.
Preparing for tomorrow it's a good thing to do. It's a wise thing to do. It's a wise thing to do. It's not a command.
Not a command. Well,
you're thinking, you're like, not a command?
It's not a command like thou shalt, or it's sin if you don't, but it's also deemed foolish when you become, a beggar out of your own foolishness.
Right.
That is the consequence of not necessarily not preparing.
No, the sluggard, I'm glad you mentioned him. The sluggard of the book of Proverbs, his poverty is seen as a consequence of his lack of work ethic and also his inability to prepare for the future.
Right.
The sluggard is seen sometimes, the sluggard and the fool are used sometimes interchangeably, but the sluggard has spent every dollar given to him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's left in a place where something goes wrong, his life is immediately in great jeopardy.
Yeah.
So that is seen as not a good place to be and not a good way to live.
Right.
So how come people, me included, why do we have in our mind that preparing is somehow a lack of faith? Where does that come from? I've thought these thoughts in
I have too. I think someone must have said something to us to make us think these things or something.
So who? When? How do we both? We didn't grow up together. How do we both have it?
Well, I don't know.
This podcast is
we're a wreck right now.
This is what do you call it? This is must-watch TV. Is what this
is electric in here.
Listen. Sometimes the stories we hold up matter because they give us a paradigm of what true faith looks like.
Okay, so you're about to draw.
So
I'm thinking about George Mueller.
That's exactly where I'm going.
Well, that's where it came from then.
Okay, well, let's just
look at this guy.
We take one person and how they follow the Lord.
Maybe we should tell people who George Mueller is.
George Mueller? There's a dot above his U.
M-U-E.
But there's dots above the U. So what do you call it? It's German.
German?
George Mueller. I don't know how to speak German.
That guy.
George Mueller.
India? Africa?
I think he's based out of, I think he's from England and he goes somewhere.
Well, I understand that. Where was he?
I don't know.
I
thought he remained in Europe. I thought he had an orphanage in Europe.
Go on and explain and I'll call the country.
Mueller had
He's a missionary.
Oh, he's a missionary. He has an orphanage and he has kids to provide food for. And Mueller had this personal philosophy. He would not ask for money. He wouldn't beg. He wouldn't put out video in that day. He wouldn't put out newsletters. He wouldn't call saying, man, we only have 2 days left of pantry food. It's an emergency.
Yeah.
He refused to ask.
Orphanage in England.
This guy. Sometimes
I
can't spell.
You're a missionary, so you know all these guys.
Listen, I can't spell,
but
I know my history.
Pictures on the wall.
But he would pray. He'd beg God, and they would always show up. Mm-hmm. Just someone would bring potatoes that day. It's like, we have potatoes at this market. We want to give it to the orphanage. And he'd beg God, and God would always provide. And so this is held up as this.
I wasn't there, but he's got some wild stories that he tells. Like the exact thing at the exact time.
The exact amount?
Yes.
At the 11th hour? Like all the time?
Yes.
And we look at this man's life and what he did, and instead of seeing it as God's awesome provision for this moment in history, we kind of know, like if I'm not like that,
right,
I'm not truly full of faith.
Right.
And so we measure ourselves against.
I'm not saying that's true, but that's how you feel. Like, man, I got to get to that level to where I just walk through life with no preparation and I just wait for stuff to drop out of heaven.
And I used to be more like that. I remember this girl I knew in college, she asked me how much I made at my job in Chicago. I'm like, I don't know how much I make. And she yelled at me. I remember she yelled at me like, you're always like this. You just don't care. You think that it's so faithful not to know how much you make, how much money you have. God's going to provide. 'Cause I used to be very mystical in this way. And I was proud of that. Yeah. And I got that from like God's Smuggler, that great book by Brother Andrew and George Mueller.
Even so, now that we're thinking about this, even the story of Moses with the manna, he said, "You have one day," and Jesus said, "Give us this day our daily bread." And that's not untrue. Even some of the ways that is portrayed is not entirely wrong to say. Like he provided enough for that day, and the next day they trusted the Lord again, and He did it again.
The Lord's Prayer goes back to the manna. Give us this day our daily bread. We are praying for enough strength, enough faith, enough hope and love for this day. And dude, there are so
the food that is my portion, not too much where I forget you, not too little where I curse you.
I love that song.
It's great.
Is that a proverb or a psalm?
I think it's in the Proverbs.
Okay. It's a beautiful,
we really know our stuff today.
Listen. I've been reading the Psalms and Proverbs more like and you get
I understand. Ecclesiastes 2, the food that is my portion, and that's a thing. So this is obviously where we get it, because there is some truth underneath it.
And I think there is this, because as Americans, more than maybe any country on the earth, it's very easy for us to be self-reliant.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's untrue in most places in the world outside of the West.
Yeah.
Like even Europe's not like us. We have so much abundance that it's very easy to feel like, well, I make a living, I get a paycheck, and I provide for my own needs.
Mm-hmm.
The self-made man is a very American idea.
Oh, yeah.
Like I worked hard. I
came here on a boat.
Yeah, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps, baby. That's the classic line.
Yes.
When in reality, luck plays a big factor in a lot of people's stories, as does sometimes having a decent network with the right person.
Of course.
It's,
different conversation.
Different conversation.
So we draw this from guys like Mueller, things in the Bible, characters in the Bible, prayer, even the Lord's Prayer. So what do we say to that? I mean, that is what George Mueller did.
And so I guess there is truly a tension then between preparation and trusting.
Yeah, I think there is.
That it is wise to prepare. It is wise to save. It is wise to maybe. I'm going to be careful to say it's wise to, because I don't know. I'm not going to tell you put your money with the Wall Street people, because who knows if that's good. But it's wise to prepare for the future. Whatever that means for you and yours.
Yeah.
It's wise. But there also is this thing about being sacrificial and about trusting the Lord, that if he were to prompt you maybe to give, like, dude, listen, last week at our church, we're a small church. We had some missionaries come in, and God's using them. It's just cool to see someone called, willing to go. So we decided, you know what? Today's offering, whatever's given, is going to this missionary couple. That's like, I used to do that when we were small. Now doing that, it's a little scary, because I'm like, we kind of need the offerings, dude.
Yeah.
But we just gave it to them.
Yeah.
And I didn't ask how much you want me to just give it to them. I'm going to say there's a cap, like,
no,
give them the 2,000. We give them the offering.
Yeah, great.
That's sacrificial.
Yep.
If there was a time in life where, if my wife and I we heard a missionary speak, or we knew someone in the family in the church having trouble, unless we were praying about it, my wife and I, and all of a sudden we feel prompted, we should give and help this family. I'm like, babe, we don't have a lot, but we feel like we have this number between us that we both agree on.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, if we do that, like, that's part of our savings going to this. We were saving up for a car repair or for a new computer.
Yeah.
That is an act of faith, an act of trust in that moment.
Yeah.
So there is this tension between preparing, but being generous, being sacrificially generous to the people God brings into our lives. That's a hard path to walk.
So when is it wrong to prepare? Because I think the type of people we're talking to right now, for the most part, and we're not excluded from that, are going to want to be let off the hook to prepare, that it's okay to prepare as much as possible, to save, to invest, to store up, these kind of things. And I'm not here to say that that's wrong or unwise. There are wisdom examples given in the Bible. There are proverbs that speak to it. However, I don't want to just go, therefore it's fine, because I also think our culture and country and economy and, first world life struggles to live in the manna from heaven day-to-day paradigm.
Is it James the Barnes, or is that Jesus?
That's Jesus. You ready?
Dude, do it.
I think I'm going to try.
Send it, baby.
Luke 12. Verse 16 to be exact.
You love this. You preach this like crazy. This is what you're
sure
go-to.
have.
This is what you're
It's like a magic trick.
Yeah. Oh, that's still, listen. I told him a parable saying, the land of a rich man was very productive. He began reasoning to himself, saying, what shall I do, since I have no place to store my crops? And he said, this is what I'll do. I will tear down my barns and build larger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I'll say to my soul, you have many goods laid up for many years to come. Take your ease, eat, drink, and be merry. Yeah. But God said to him, you fool, this very night your soul is required of you. and now who will own what you have prepared? So is the man who stores up treasure for himself and is not rich towards God.
That's right. Right. So
Okay.
his preparation blows up in his face. But it's not because of the preparation.
Yeah, I don't live in the suburban world anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I live in an inner city environment. I try not to be condemning of the suburban lifestyle. Because
Sure.
if I made more, I'd drive a nice car. I would do things like this. So I don't want to be a rock throwing guy.
Yeah, right.
But perhaps those who have, well, let's say it this way. Oh man, dude, you better speak. 'Cause I'm going to say some crazy things.
Okay. You want me to say something right now to disrupt wherever you're about to go?
Yes, please.
So I think I will say this, so just to say something here and like put a point on something. If you're preparing because you're worried, I think that's wrong. If you're preparing because you believe that there is wisdom in it, people prepare out of fear. I know people like this. I can be a man like this. I think I probably tip not because I have all this faith or whatever. Maybe the Lord wired me that way because I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing, and we can't have the risk of a love of money, you and I, and do what we do. And I don't have everything nailed down as to, like, man, when I see the qualifications of an elder, I got this nailed every time. I need God's grace and growth in it. The love of money thing has never really been a huge struggle for me. It just wasn't. The Lord just helps me with that one. So I'm more of a manna from heaven guy. Where like, I don't know I don't know how it's going. And it just, I'm not Mueller, but it works out. But also I can be unwise with my family. I can be unwise in preparation. And I think that I have been convicted at times. Like I have been too flippant. I've been too carefree, and I need to be more wise. And so that's fine. There are also people that are scared to death. What if something happens? What if something happens? What if people always said the Great Depression era because of what they went through? My grandmother was similar to this because they know. Our generation didn't know that. Our generation's never known bread lines and save your tinfoil and no jobs and you literally begging bread.
I'm reading a book right now by a local guy writing about his life story, and he talked about like World War II. His dad going to the munitions factory in Detroit, things being rationed. So when moms goes to the ration station to get the amount of food your family gets. I mean, the dad's working. The dad is working for a living, but there's no paychecks at the time because it's a wartime economy.
Yeah.
And so, your family of four, well, you get this much food for the week.
Right. That's
crazy.
I know. It's not a reality we know, and it happened here.
We're crazy. We expect the government to show up and save us.
I pay taxes. Where's the government? It's like different thing. But I will say this: if someone when would it be wrong to prepare? If you're a Christian and you're worrying because then in some way you don't trust that God will in fact give you your daily bread. You don't believe that, so we try to take it out of God's hands and under our own control. Almost as a backup for God's failure. And that would be a wrong motive.
That's a real bad motive. That's a wrong motive.
Yeah.
But so a correct motive, a good motive for preparing, and we're thinking financially, but I got to leave financially eventually before this podcast ends. I want... My family couldn't help me go to college. They couldn't help me get a car. They couldn't help me when I left their wings. I left their wings very much. I didn't have much. I did have a place to fall back if I fell, which not everyone has that. Not everyone has that. Mm-hmm. I had a bed to fall to if I went out on my own. If I failed miserably, I could fall back to my bed and my mama would catch me.
Yeah.
That's something to have.
Yeah.
That's all they could give me, really.
Yeah.
I'd like to give my kids more than that. I'd love to help them with their schooling. I'd love to help them with their car. Maybe when they get married, I'd like to help with their wedding. Like I'd like to be able to help my children in these ways. So preparing to be able to bless my children is not an evil thing. My motivation is one of love and desire to provide for those I love. I want to care for those under my leadership, and I want to be able to bless them mightily.
Could that get evil?
Oh, easily.
right?
Easily.
Because I don't think we can just. I don't disagree with you, and
No,
I
no.
share the same sentiment. But at the same time, it's not universally true. Like someone can go, "Oh, good, that's what I want to do too," but it is beyond a godly motive. It is beyond a godly amount. It might, it is sometimes materialistically driven. It is sometimes for your own legacy driven. It is sometimes what?
We can make our kids.
It is enabling.
We can make our kids into little materialists.
Yes.
You see those MTV shows like Sweet 16 birthday parties where
Sure,
some kid is just a spoiled brat.
And then so the pass we give is, well, I did it out of love for my child, which I do believe that's true, but you did the wrong thing. Just because you do something because you love somebody, I can go break a friend of mine out of prison. I love this guy, man. I want to do. You're wrong. Like, you're wrong. I was in it doesn't matter. I was in court today, and I have empathy for everybody involved, but the truth is the truth. Consequence is consequence. But I can try to, what do you say, mediate consequence. And people do that with their kids. They do that with their spouses. They say, why? It's because I loved them and God is love. So that does not clean up a wrong enabling motive. So yes, I share the same thing to prepare for my kids and so forth, but at the same time, and it also, I can't do it at the sacrifice of my calling. I don't have a calling where I'm probably going to have enough to send everybody to college and do that. No. So it's like, well, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to go get all this money. No, this is the lot that God called me to, and they're going to have to trust him like I had to trust him.
I think in America, we probably lean more to preparation than we do to faith.
Sure we do.
As Americans, especially if you're middle class at all. Middle class people, we tend to live at close to 100% of our income.
Yeah.
A lot of us will tend to, if we get a raise, we just increase our standard of living. If I get a raise, I'm like, well, I can afford a nicer car, or I can go to a nicer house. For us, we will increase and things that we once thought luxuries become necessities in our mind.
Yeah.
I have to have the fastest internet. I have to have, I remember being in college, and you might have said, well, you'd have a laptop to go to college. I remember standing in line for the computer lab to write a paper.
And to walk down there.
And you'd literally stand in line for one to be open.
Yeah,
and then
pouring rain, I'm walking down there. Yeah, it's just
I didn't have
nothing
it.
was weird about it. There's one open.
I remember I went to college. So I didn't have a computer, but I'm like, there's computers over there. I can use that to write the paper.
Yeah.
I had to plan a little ahead, but faith, so that's just money. But also, what about life? Like planning for life. Let's say going to college. Let's say, a classic one, going to school versus going into the mission field. Prep. Should I prep? If I feel called to be a preacher, should I prep with Bible college? Or should I just go and do it?
So, this is where I get crazy. I never tell people to have a backup plan.
I'm not saying backup plan. I guess I'm saying...
Well, what else is it, right?
No, I'm saying, let's say someone's like, I feel the call of God on my life. Well, do the backup plan first.
Okay, so when you said that, I was thinking about people that say, well, I'm going to get a degree
in nursing.
In nursing, because if this doesn't work out or I want to change later, I'm going to fall back on this. Now, I cannot sit here and stand in judgment of anybody who's done that, but I always talk people out of that, because I'll come back to, did God call you or not? And did he call you? If he called you, like the fishermen washing their nets by the side of the Sea of Galilee, then he called you now.
Let the dead bury their dead.
Drop your nets. You leave your father. You leave your boat, and you come now. And I believe that. And I believe that I have to live that. Now, school in preparation for
ministry.
I think that's can be a little bit different.
A tougher question.
It is a tougher question.
I sometimes think some kind of preparation can make you a more effective servant of the Lord. And sometimes through impatience, you might try to jump out there thinking, and some young buck feels like I feel called. They might be immature. They don't know how to read the scriptures. They don't know what scripture says, but they don't know how much they don't know. So they just jump in. Going to some kind of training of any kind maybe can imbue humility.
I agree.
It can,
and wisdom and experience and protection where things aren't as big a consequence.
Listen, when I started in ministry, I had a adult man, a pastor. I'm a nobody.
Yeah.
Came to my office, sat down, and he goes, "Where did you learn how to read the Bible?" And I was like, "I spent 4 years of my life learning how to read this book." And that, like, he's like, "How do you know how to read this thing?" And I was like, "Well, I learned it over here." Like, it was weird in 4 years of my life to just, and I didn't realize how important it was, sitting under such godly teachers and learning how to read it, because you're like, it's a water hose at first.
Yeah.
But then you go out to minister, and you may not know what everything it says, but you know how to engage it. You know how to approach. You know how to read it.
Yeah.
And it's a hard thing to read sometimes. To go deep in it.
I agree, and I'm not here to justify my own path, but for those reasons and just being exposed to long-time seasoned ministry helped me greatly now, still to this day.
To this day.
It's not a requirement, though.
No.
And it's not for everybody. That was what I felt God wanted me to do, and that's what I did, and I'm at peace with that. But not everybody should do it. Some people are supposed to jump and go, and in the end, you're going to have to be at peace. You're going to have to feel a conviction from God in that direction. But I did have no backup plan, and I still don't.
Oh, dude. I've done, I went to India. So everything I own, I went to India. When you go, you got to go all in. I mean, why?
You got to go all in. I remember you blew your whole life up. You sold your house and everything. We were all pillaging your stuff. We were like vultures.
Dude, I sold all my DVD. I
remember your DVDs. Everyone was clamoring over it. Like, look at these.
All my CDs. I sold some. I had some signed copies of music I liked. I sold it all, dude. Like my Dave Matthews. I sold everything. It's
all gone.
And when we got kicked out of India, I came home. I'm like, I shouldn't have sold all that stuff. I don't got a house. I don't got a car. I don't got a couch. I remember some people from the Rock can help me move when I moved to Fenton, and we pulled up in this little car. Like, we're just like, it's all in the trunk. my poor wife, dude. We go in the apartment. She's pregnant. And there's no chairs, nowhere to sit. I'm like, I'll go buy a chair, babe. So I went to Walmart and bought a chair. And
got her an Adirondack.
I got her. I don't think I got her just a little like folding chair to sit in, dude. The floor of the bed is on the ground, dude. I was like, she's like 8 months pregnant. I'm sorry, darling. I'm sorry, baby. But
okay, all right, let's go.
So planning versus faith, preparation versus faith. There is definitely a tension there.
There's a tension. It's an overused word sometimes, but it's the right use right now. You're right.
As Americans, we tend to prepping.
I agree.
We should be a people who are willing to be generous.
Mm-hmm.
Sacrificially and maybe even foolishly so.
Sometimes.
If God
foolish by the world's standard.
Yes. Listen, the fact that we tithe, the fact that we give money to the church on a regular basis, people, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not going to go hard for the 10% principle, the tithe.
Yeah,
but
I don't either.
Giving sacrificially to God's work, I want to sow into God's kingdom.
And that's what he wants. A cheerful giver. We do it because we want to. This is no guilt on anybody.
No.
That's the only kind of giving that he wants.
We're not putting out a thing on the screen saying "Give here now."
Give here, click here.
Give to the church you go to, not to us bums, dude.
That's true.
So
give to anywhere
God's
the Lord
work.
moves you. A guy on the side of the road. Give him your jacket if you like. Give him your car. I don't know what to tell you. Like, God has to do all that. Like, it's not just about.
But generosity, sacrificial giving, and sometimes. There is, I guess, discernment comes from being close to the Holy Spirit. It comes from listening to the Lord, asking the Lord, and when he prompts, obeying the Lord.
Right now. And sometimes it takes your breath away. But you can be at peace. God said it, and you did it, and you're clean before the Lord. And now you got to trust him.
When I was in college, I had to do a summer semester, and I wrote like a couple of my mentors. I said, and you guys I got to do this summer class. It costs this much. Anyone have $50, $100? Help me get the books. Help me do this. And one of the old men wrote me back, and he said, I've been saving up for a new TV. He wanted to buy. Remember those TVs that had the 3 color things in the back? It was a huge TV. They're huge projection TV in a unit. It projected from behind onto a screen. There was like a blue, green, and red.
Oh, sure, yeah.
They stood on the floor and stood like 8 feet high.
Weighs as much as a truck.
Dude, he's like, I've been saving for one of these bad boys for the last year. He was a very wise person. He didn't put it on a credit card. He saved up for it. He's like, I just had enough to buy it. This is a letter I got from him. I just saved enough to buy it. And it's exactly what you need to go to school this summer. And my wife and I feel like God wants us to help you. Dude, I remember getting that and just like being moved. Like, this person had been wise. He's not being evil. He just wanted to buy a nice TV to put in his stinking family room.
Yep.
But he's like, this young kid in college, I feel God calling me to bless him. That's something, man. that willingness to just, the Lord will provide for something, later on for whatever's going to happen.
So it's not wrong. Preparation, not wrong. Not always right.
Not always right.
We're going to have to give a pastor answer. They're going to have to work that out with the Lord. It runs the river runs both ways for different reasons. Never out of fear. Preparation, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I hope this was a help. We try, honestly, it's easier to give people an answer. Do this.
Right.
But listen, you got to follow Jesus.
Yes.
We're not the Holy Spirit.
No, we're not.
You follow Jesus, listen to him, and if you're a greedy piece of crap, stop being a greedy piece of crap.
And with that,
if you have a question you want to ask, you can go ahead and email us at encore@rockfenton.com.
correct.
Okay, I got to find it every time, dude.
You found it.
Yeah, we love you questions. That'd be wonderful. With that said, grace and peace to you. We'll see you next time.